Close up your activity notebooks. We won't need it right now. We're open to the table of contents. Today we are reading chapter 4. The table of contents tells you what's in a book and where we can find it. So everybody point to chapter 4 in our table of contents. What page can I find chapter 4 on?
26.
Go ahead and open up to page 26 in our reader. Point to the heading on page 26. Fabulous. The heading tells you what you're about to read. We are going to read in this section. It is called Warm. So you can predict, remember what we talked about, deciding the main idea of a text, that we are going to be reading about warm-blooded and cold-blooded animals. As a reminder, coming straight up for our other reading, cold-blooded animals have a body temperature that changes with its environment. Warm-blooded creatures have a more constant temperature, and they have adaptations or features that help it stay that constant temperature. Temperature is going to be the measurement of how hot or cold you are. How many of you have ever gotten your temperature taken? They are seeing how hot or how cold you are. We are going to be looking at, have you guys ever heard of a scale?
Yeah.
Now, this scale is not what checks our weight. We're going to be talking about a scale that creatures like an amphibian or creatures like a reptile might have. Reptiles have scales. And it's going to be that small disc on the outside of bodies. They're really usually little and they piece together. And reptiles have them. And what else have scales? That's an example of a reptile. So yes, snakes have them. What else has scales?
Fish.
You've got it. Fish. Very good. Third graders, we're going to jump into our reader. Remember to think about the main idea. What is this mostly about? And key details that are going to help us support those main ideas, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at page 26 and 27. Very good. Let's go ahead and locate the word cold-blooded on page 26. Do you see it?
No.
Where is it at? Oh, in the heading. Guys, is Mrs. Martin using her brain?
No.
Cold-blooded. Okay, we're going to go ahead and read. My brain's not working, so let's read. I'm going to read actually, we're all going to read together, page 26, and then make that connection of how that's supporting and working with page 77. Ready to read 26 to me? With me? Fingers on it, eyes in your book. If you're playing with things around you, it's going to be difficult. You don't need that thing, so it's not a big deal. Ready? Let's read. Rattenborough here again. In chapter 2, you learned how scientists classify living things into one group called kingdoms. You learned about the animal and plant kingdoms. You also learned that animals and other living things are classified into more specific groups. Today, you will learn more about the animal kingdom. You will learn that there are many kinds of animals that have different characteristics. Scientists study these different characteristics to divide the animal kingdom into more specific groups. Yesterday, our more specific groups we were talking about were what? Haley? Good, and those are the 5 we got into today. Haley, put it on the ground. But yesterday when we were doing them, we read about 2 specific things. Did I say Haley? I meant Kaylin. We read about 2 specific things yesterday. That all of those 5 animal groups that Haley just mentioned fall into what? What did we read about yesterday, guys? We read about vertebrates and invertebrates. Today, especially in our reading, we've already kind of started it. We're learning about warm-blooded and
Cold-blooded.
If we look back, we've seen this chart a few times now. What is this an example of?
Diagram.
This is that diagram where it's giving us an example. Living things is at the top. Remember, we filled one of these out yesterday for ourselves. And then we see plants and animals are the ones we're focusing on. And they have examples of plants and example of animals. We have invertebrates and vertebrates. Now focusing on those vertebrates, we know that some of those in the vertebrate group are what? Cold-blooded. So we can even get more out saying cold-blooded and warm-blooded. Okay? Let's go ahead and turn the page to keep reading. Who do we see on the next page? Ooh, I hear both. This is a crocodile. Third graders, you are going to read page 28 to yourself. Are you going to read 28 and 29?
No.
You're going to read page?
28.
Only page 28 to yourself. And I want you to think, what are some characteristics of mammals? You're reading to find out what are some characteristics of
Mammals.
Go ahead and read 28. I'll give you just a moment. 3, 2, 1. We were reading to find out what are some characteristics of animals. After reading that page, what are some characteristics of animals you read about? Kason, what'd you read about?
Mammals.
What are some characteristics of mammals that you read about?
Cats, mice, rats, cows, elephants.
Those are fabulous examples. What are characteristics? What are things that make all those animals that Kason mentioned as examples? What are characteristics that all of them share? Claire, they all have
Hair.
fabulous. What else did we read, Charlie?
That they all give birth to live babies.
They all give
Birth to live babies.
fabulous. What else?
That they make milk for their babies.
They make milk for their newborns. Very good. Those are characteristics of those mammals. Let's go ahead and look at page 29. Let's look at 28 again. The main idea, and we kind of jumped to it, the main idea on page 28 was mammals. We mostly read about mammals. We know because Kason gave us examples of mammals. Some other friends in our classroom gave us characteristics of mammals. The main idea of page 8 was mammals. We're going to go ahead and read page 9, and I want us to read about characteristics of a crocodile. Okay? Go for it. 29, thank you. 29, characteristics of a crocodile. What are some characteristics of crocodiles we read on page 29? Grayson, start us off.
That they have scales, not hair or not fur.
They have scales, not hair, not fur. So already, are they mammals?
Nope.
Nope, they don't fit the characteristics of a mammal. Good. What else do we learn, Lexi?
Crocodiles lay eggs and baby crocodiles hatch from the
Great, Kaylin.
a baby crocodile does not get milk from its mother. Its first meal might be a bite.
Good. We learn in this page that crocodiles are examples of.
Crocodile.
What is the main idea of this page? What did we mostly read about or mostly learn about in this page? Griffin.
Baby crocodiles.
We learned about crocodiles and maybe specifically baby crocodiles, right? Do we have some details to support that? Those things you guys told me, the scales, the eggs, the not drinking milk, those are things that support. We just read about crocodiles. Go ahead and turn the page. We have, I know those pages with lots of reading. I just hear you guys. You guys got this though. Okay. Today we are going to be looking for a constant temperature. Remember those words we were talking about? As you go through, I want you to think about the constant temperature. These words are often used together in this chapter. Constant temperature, okay? You can find them in bold right here. Constant temperature. They're going to be used together a lot in this chapter. But that each word has its own meaning and can be found separately in the glossary as well, okay? Temperature is going to be used in this chapter by itself, as will constant. When we think of a constant temperature, it's a temperature that stays the same throughout time, okay? It's a temperature, how hot or cold something is throughout time. We are going to read page 30 to ourselves, okay? And I want us to see if there are any new vocabulary words. Read to see if there are any new vocabulary words on page 39. Were there any new vocabulary words that we kind of came across on that page? Joey?
Reptiles.
Reptiles. And we've been talking about reptiles, though. Have we been talking about them? Yeah, so they're not necessarily new, but okay. Alexa? What? Temperature. Again, we've been talking about it. We've gone over. Is there anything brand new on this page to us? There really shouldn't be, right? Have we talked about classifying and mammals and reptiles and warm-blooded and cold-blooded?
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be anything too new on this page. I'm going to read page 31 to you, and I want you to follow along. Are you ready? Fingers out, eyes in books. Books are flat on desks. Please don't be playing with that. Put it down. It's going to be hard to read when you put that on top of the book we're about to read. Follow along, please. Your eyes are going to need to be in your book, not on me. When warm-blooded animals are somewhere hot, their bodies react in a different way to cool off. Eyes in your book, please. Some warm-blooded animals, like people, sweat to stay cool. Dogs pant to stay cool. Other warm-blooded animals drink lots of water as a way to cool off. Did you know that cows need to drink almost a bathtub full of water a day? You'd think that means they pee a lot too. Warm-blooded animals act in different ways to maintain a constant temperature inside their bodies. Mammals can live in habitats with different temperatures because their bodies do not rely on the environment. Warm-blooded animals, like mammals, must eat often to make energy to heat or cool their bodies. Most warm-blooded animals need to eat every day. Some need to eat every hour. So my question is, why do warm-blooded animals have to eat so often? For what?
Energy.
For energy. They need it for energy, and their body uses that partly to keep warm. Great, or Brock.
I really know cows drink a lot of dry oxide, and
They go through a lot, don't they? Third graders, I am going to let you finish up this text, reading the final 2 pages on your own. Really pay attention to the picture and the caption. I don't want you to read it once. I want you to read it twice. I don't want you to read it once. I want you to read it
twice.
When you are finished, and I will put it up, you are going to be opening to page 41 in your activity notebook. It's going to look like this. And you are going to you can use the book if you need to. It says list the statements that refer to warm-blooded under the headings warm-blooded animals. List the statements that refer to cold-blooded under cold-blooded animals. So there's statements right here. You're going to rewrite these where it belongs, okay? Can you handle that? So sweats to stay cool. Does that go under warm-blooded or cold-blooded? Warm-blooded. We just read about it, so I would write it right here. Do you have the words in front of you to spell them correctly?
Yes.
And I'm going to put a mark next to it because I did it. I placed it where it belongs, okay? This is your task when you are done reading. You're going to be reading for some of this information, so make sure you're paying attention. Go for it.